Well, hey guys, I am so excited to see you back here tonight. This is episode 2 of RTTV, and tonight we've got a really cool topic to talk about. Now, have you ever been in a situation where someone comes up to you and says, I know you're an author, but tell me what it is you do? And you just have that panic moment where you're a deer in the headlights and you have no idea what to say? I know for me, I get that sometimes too. In fact, this summer, I actually ended up working at a summer camp. And the very first day, I was asked, who are you and what do you do? And for a second, I didn't know what to say. I did not know what they were expecting of me or how much they wanted me to tell. I didn't know what I should say about myself. And then I figured out that there's this very simple, easy structure to go through what you do and who you are that concisely and very clearly tells exactly what you do and who you are. And tonight we're going to talk about that. So this is actually going to run a little bit long tonight because we've got 4 amazing guest stars on tonight. I'm so excited that they are here. So we're going to jump right in.
Welcome to RTTV, brought to you by Reading Transforms, with your host, K.M. Robinson of K.M. Robinson Photography and Reading Transforms. If you look to the right of your screen, you will note a chat box. We encourage you to ask questions and comment throughout the show. Our moderators will be watching the feed and collecting questions for our hosts to answer during the end of the broadcast. Use the red question mark tab to differentiate your questions from your comments in the feed. If you are a member of our Facebook community and our weekly newsletter, your notes will be emailed to you shortly. Make sure that you are active this week in our Facebook community for deeper insights into how to apply this into your marketing strategy and for ongoing support. Welcome to the weekly live broadcast that will revolutionize your author branding, book marketing, and social media marketing strategies.
So we've all been in that position where we've been asked who we are and what we do. And we've all had that moment of absolute panic when we didn't know what to say to the person asking us these questions. It's really, really hard for us as people to define ourselves in just a couple of sentences. What do we say to them? What do we tell them? How much information is too much information? What's not enough? There are so many different things that we can say about ourselves, but it's hard to structure these things into a way that makes sense and accurately portrays who we are and what we do. So today we are going to be talking about your elevator pitch. Now, an elevator pitch is your in-person bio. That is what you say to people when they ask you, who are you and what do you do? This is where you as an author or you as a book blogger are saying, I am an author or a book blogger and this is what I do. Today we're going to be talking about the simple steps to create this couple of sentence bio so that you never again have to worry about what you say when people ask you that dreaded question about who you are and what it is that you do. So let's talk. This is actually going to be pretty simple today. There's not an awful lot involved with this. This is going to take a few minutes of your time, and once you figure out what you're saying, you're done. You don't ever have to think about this again if you don't want to. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying you're probably going to want to tweak this pitch as you go. So if you're developing new books, if you're adding new parts to your blog, if you are dealing with another part of your brand, you want to take care of that, get that included into your pitch. But you only have to do it when you have something new. So if you're a book blogger and you are doing something entirely new, maybe you want to add that in if you're doing booktubing or something like that. If you're an author and you have a new book out or a new series out, that's when you would add this into your pitch. So let's talk about the main parts with this. The first thing we need to know is that this bio, this elevator pitch is tiny. This is not going to be the size of your bio on your website. If your website is 2 or 3 paragraphs, this elevator pitch bio is 2 to 3 sentences. This is not long. Now I know we're all panicking at this point, and let me just ease your mind because I have a fill-in-the-blank statement that's going to tell you exactly what to say, and we're going to get to that in a few minutes. But let's talk about how to craft this first. So the very first and most important thing is the highlights. You gotta remember, this is your highlights reel. This is the most important thing that you would tell a total stranger when you are standing in an elevator in a hotel lobby going up to your floor. You're not giving them a lot of information. You're telling them precisely who you are and what you do, and that is it. They did not ask for your life story. We just want 2 to 3 sentences about who you are. So, highlight reel. We're going to do this from my own perspective. We're going to do this through my photography business. So let's talk about what this would look like for me as a photographer. Well, for me as a photographer, my highlights reel, the most important thing that I could say is that I am a photographer. Now, right now, that is the most important key part. I am a professional photographer. Now, at this point, you don't know a lot about that. Just like if you said, I am an author. What kind of author are you? Okay. So the most important part is that highlight. You have to get that in there. Then we need to add our descriptors into this. So we're going to sit down and we're going to think about those words that describe who we are as an author. Or in my case, describe who I am as a photographer. So if we're running with my photographer example, I am a photographer. I'm going to add in my descriptive words. So what is it that defines what type of photographer I am? Do I do portraiture? Do I do weddings? Do I do babies? Do I do landscape? Do I do product photography? What do I do? Well, for me personally, for K.M. Robinson Photography, I am a fine arts conceptual photographer. Those are my descriptive words. Those are the things that define who I am within that industry. I am a fine arts conceptual photographer. I do glamour portraiture. I'm very specific about what I do. I don't do everything. I stopped doing other things years ago so that I could specialize. And I want to bring that out within my pitch, within my bio. So I'm going to say I am a fine arts conceptual photographer. That has just defined me. It has told them specifically what type of photographer I am. So you might be a young adult author. Maybe you are a new adult romance writer. Maybe you are a middle grades writer. Whatever you are, whatever age group you're working with, that needs to be stated. Because you could be over in this genre, you could be over here. They don't know. You have to tell them. So this is your descriptive words. So sit down as you're doing this. You've already listed your highlights, that you're an author or book blogger, if you're one of our book blogger fans. And you are describing what type of that person you are. So what type of author, what type of book blogger. Write that down. We've got our highlights, our most important part. This is the most important information you can give them. And you've got your descriptors. So now our next part is crafting our words. So let's think this through. We are talking about the main points here. You are an author. You are a young adult author. You are a young adult author who writes about contemporary romance. Those are your descriptive words. Maybe you are a young adult author who writes about steampunk. That's pretty cool. You are a young adult author who writes historical fiction. You are a young adult author who writes retellings. Who are you? What do you write? It's okay to have more than 1 or 2 genres in there because some of us as authors are writing more than one thing. That's okay. You just don't want to list 18 different things. Hit your top 2, 3 things and keep it at that. If you have more than that, it's okay. List the ones that are most important right now. What are your 3 big series right now or your 3 big books right now? Stick to that. This is one of those things where with this bio, you're going to be layering other things into this. You are not going to be listing everything up front because for the most part, when people ask, they just want a couple sentences. They don't want your life story. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We have some guest stars today. They're coming on in a little bit, and we are actually going to be crafting their pitches with them. We are going to be going through what they have done, what they are doing, and we're going to put that into this fill-in-the-blank statement so that they know exactly what to say. So stay tuned with me. We're going to be checking in with these people in a little bit. So back to this. We have our descriptors. We have our main points. We need to craft our words. So we're going to put this on paper. So the very first thing you need to do, no matter what else you've got going on, is sit down and write this out. What do you want to say? This is going to be like your first draft, because in a minute we're actually going to be structuring this statement. So for right now, get it on paper. What do you need to tell these people? Who you are, what you write. These are the most important things. Who you are, what you write. You might want to let them know a little bit about what you're known for. You are not bragging in this. Do not add awards. Do not add things that are going to sound like you're bragging about it. You want to be very humble about this. You are an author. You write this stuff. You're known for something. Simple as that. And this is actually going to come in a few minutes. We're going to be talking about what we are doing with this structure. So these three things we're going to talk about again in a minute. Now, once you have your words written down, your next task is to structure them. So this is like going back into your novel and rewording things, making sure everything makes sense, making sure it is as concise as possible, because you don't want words floating around. If you ever worked with an editor, you know that they tell you that there are certain words you should not be using. They are fillers, they are space takers, and you don't want them. You want this to be super concise because, well, that actually brings me to my next point. You have to memorize this. So you want this to be easy. You want this to be in a speaking language that you can easily say. So how is it that you normally talk? Do you sound like a robot? You probably don't want to write it like a robot. You want to write it in a way that you would normally converse with people. So you want your words to be very concise, very straightforward. They need to know exactly who you are, what you do, and what type of books you are working with, but you need to say it in a way that sounds comfortable to you. So that brings us to memorizing it. You have to memorize this pitch. This is who you are. You should be able to memorize 2 to 3 sentences about yourself so that when people hit you with that, who are you, what do you do question, you can very easily just say the words. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to pull a deer in the headlights. You don't have to be worried about this. You know who you are and what you do. You've got it written down. You've structured it to sound exactly the way you want it to fit with your personality and your branding, and you've memorized it so you don't have to think about it. It is so easy to memorize this and say it back to someone when they ask, so that you never have to struggle for your words. You never have to search for something to say, and you're always confident in what you're telling people, so that you are totally assured that they get who you are and what you do. Now, the beauty of this is that we are going to be layering onto this. Some people will ask you who you are and what you do, and you will give them your 3-sentence bio, and they will drop it, and that will be it. They will move on with life, and that's okay. They just got your highlight reel. They know who you are and what you do. But some people, now these people are fun. They're going to ask questions. They want to know more. So at this point, you can start pulling in other things, and you should be prepared for this. So once you have your 3-sentence bio done, ready to go and memorized, start thinking about the other things you are going to layer in. These are things like awards. These are things like what you're known for in the industry. These are things like events that you have been speaking at or hosting or you are involved in. You are adding value to this. So who are you? Build yourself up. You don't want to be obnoxious. Don't brag about things, but you can give them more information. So you can talk more about your books, your style of writing, the way that you have those horrible cliffhangers at the end. We know who you are. You can talk more about the things that make you the author that you are, but not up front. That's not going to be in your 3-sentence elevator pitch bio, because people typically don't want to know. And if they do want to know, they're going to ask. And those are the people you want to be able to give more information to. Those people are interested in you as a person, as a writer, and as a potential fan. If they aren't, you don't want to be hitting them with all this stuff, because that just wastes their time and it doesn't create a fan for you. Give them what they want to know and move on, but be prepared to offer more, because if they ask, you have to be ready. So you should be memorizing that too. What can you add? What benefit can you give them? How can you describe yourself for your books? You don't want to be pitchy about it, okay? You're not pitching them your stories, but you are giving them more insight into what you do. So where do we use these pitches? Well, the most obvious way is when people ask you. Maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a family member you haven't seen in a while, maybe it's some random stranger on an elevator, maybe it's somebody who's interviewing you, maybe you're going on someone's podcast, maybe you are running into industry people who want to know more about you, but maybe just vaguely heard your name somewhere. You have to be able to give them this information. You can also use this on your social media. So you could tuck this into your Twitter bio, or you could work this into your Instagram profile. This is not for your website. This short little bio, not going to cut it on your website. That's an entirely different project that we will be talking about, especially if you take our author branding course, which is coming up. This is not for any bigger platform. So this is only for teeny tiny things like a Twitter bio or like an Instagram bio or in person. And this is specifically and most importantly for your in-person projects. So when people come to you and they're talking to you, they want to know who you are, this is what you give them. Now the key in all of this is short. This is not long. This is no more than 3 or 4 sentences. 4 is pushing it. You want to keep it right at that 2-3 mark. You got to keep it short. And you have to get to your ultimate point. Who are you? You are a type of author that writes about and you are known for. That's all. So let's talk about that, because this actually leads me into this fill in the blank structure. Now there are lots of ways that you can write your in-person bio pitch. There are so very many different ways that you can do it, and I highly recommend that you try. You absolutely should try to write this for yourself. It sounds like it's complicated, but I promise you it's not. I know that with our guest stars that are coming on in a few minutes, some of them got really nervous about this because it's hard to write about yourself. It's hard to talk about yourself. But this is going to be so relaxed that it's not even going to faze you. You don't need to stress about this. This is not going to be stressful at all. Okay? We will get through this together. So if you can try it on your own, go for it. More power to you. You do this. It'll be awesome. If you want to run it by somebody, ask us. We are happy to help within the community. But if you are having trouble, if you're nervous, if you just want to see what other possibilities are out there, or if you want a structure done for you already where all you have to do is pop your words into the blanks, I have that for you. Now, you can take this and tweak it. Tweak it to fit your brand, tweak it to fit the way that you style your words, tweak it to fit what you are doing within your business. You don't have to use my words exactly as I put them. This is just a simple structure to get you started. You can build on it, you can tweak it, you can change it. And then once you start to grow within your brand, so when your brand changes, when you're adding things in, you can restructure this sentence or these sentences using this basic structure to fit the things that you are doing. So here's our fill in the blank statement. Take a look at this. This is all we're working with here. Look how easy this is. I am a blank author. This is where you type in the age group you are targeting here. Are you young adult? Are you new adult? What are you? What kind of author are you? Pop it in here. Who writes? And this is where you list your genre or genres. Again, make sure you keep it down to about 3. You don't want to go over that. So use the ones that you are currently working with. You don't want to have any excessive information in there. They're going to start shutting down. So if you can whip out 3 real fast, go for it. Otherwise, narrow it down to your top 1 or 2. You don't want to take their attention away from what you're saying. If you babble too much, they will stop listening, even in this 3-sentence pitch. So I am a age group author who writes genre books. If you want, you can type your publisher in there. If you feel comfortable adding your publisher in, that's fine. If you work with one specific publisher, that's fine. If you work with multiple publishers, you probably don't want to have them in there. Now you can, or you can layer that in later to talk about who you're working with. But if you're working with a big name, perhaps you are going to want to add them in there just for a little bit of credibility. Doesn't matter. It's totally up to you. It is your preference. So whatever works for you and your brand, run with that. So we know now who you are, who you write for, what you write. The next part is within my writing, I explore topics, or I am known for your topic. So what do you write about? What is it in your story that you are known for? Are you writing epic women? Are you writing smart detective men? Are you writing about strangers who meet and fall in love? Are you writing about love within the school district with technology? What are you writing? Think about it. What is the topic that is reoccurring within your writing that you can pull out here? Think it through. I know this is going to be the most difficult part here. Well, maybe. But take a few minutes, work through it. What is in your writing that would make sense? It doesn't have to be in all of your writing, and it does not have to be from all of your books. All 19 of your books do not have to have the same topic. That's okay. Just pick one that you really like, that you think is going to speak to people the most. So maybe it's young love. Maybe it's summer romance. Maybe we are talking about refining the bad boy. Maybe we're talking about changing the world through technology. Maybe we're talking about being selfless to save someone that you love. What is it that you are writing that makes a difference and makes them want to pick up your book? Put this topic in there. Maybe it's empowered women. Maybe it's something totally different that I'm not even thinking of right now. Figure out what your potential topics could be, write those down, and then pick the best one. Work on your words to encompass as much of your series or your stories as possible. You want to get as much into this as you can. And the last part of this is an accomplishment that is not an award. What are you known for? Within this industry, as a leader, as an author, as a marketer on social media, what are you known for? What do your people know you for? What is it that they say when they think about you? Are you known for your epic social media parties? Are you known for your heart-wrenching cliffhanger endings that we all love and hate you for? Are you known for making your fans cry? Are you known for building people up and inspiring them to live out their dreams? What are you known for? Are you known for your epic cat pictures on Twitter? What are you known for? Tell me what you're known for. What do your fans know you as? Who are you to them? What makes you stand out? Write these things down. Write everything down. Write everything down that you can think of. What are you known for? If you're not sure, ask. Ask people, what do you think of when you think of me? What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of me? Give me one statement, give me one sentence that describe my books or my author style. Tell me who you think I am. What is that one thing, when you see that one thing that always reminds you of me? Ask them. They'll tell you. Ask your friends and family, what is it that you are known for as an author? What are you known for in your brand? Think it through. Write it down. And then you have to put it together. You are an author. Tell me who you write for. Tell me what you write. Tell me what you are exploring within your writing. What are your topics? What is going to get my interest? And then tell me why I should care about you and your brand. That's all I need to know. If I'm a stranger and I am asking you, who are you? Tell me who you are within this industry. You are an author. You are a fabulous author. Tell me what you write. Tell me who you are targeting with your books. Who are these for? What kind of writing can I expect from you? If I get on your website and I order your books from Amazon, what can I expect? Tell me. Tell me what you're known for. If I get on your social media platforms, if I am on your blog, if I am on your website, what am I going to expect? Those things, those are the ones that are going to be the perfect bio content for this. You have to be able to tell me who you are, why you are valuable, and why you are valuable to me. Maybe you're not going to be valuable to me. That's okay. I may not be your ideal audience, but maybe somebody I know is. Perhaps you're on an elevator with a gentleman who asks you what you do because he saw that tag around your neck from the writers' conference downstairs, and he wants to know, what do you do? Well, clearly he knows you're an author, but for what? Why? Do you write young adult contemporary romance? Chances are he's not going to care. But maybe his niece does. Maybe he will check you out for her. You want to be able to have those words so that you can say exactly what you need to say to get the message across that you are an author for this type of person, age-wise, genre-wise, topic-wise, content-wise. You need to let them know who you are for them. We are attracting and repelling. You are not everyone's author, and not everybody is your fan. We have to attract and repel. Attract the people who are going to be good fans. Repel the people who don't want to read your type of content. It's okay. It's okay if people don't like your books. They aren't your fans and you don't want them. They're not going to be there for your next book and your next book and your next book. You don't want them to buy your book and leave a bad review. Attract and repel. Get the people who mean something to your brand, to your books. Attract those people. And this is going to help you attract or repel people. It tells them exactly who you are and who you're writing for and why you're writing. This is the whole point. You want to be able to tell them specifically who you are and what you do in 3 sentences. So one more time, let's take a look at this structure. Don't worry, you're going to be emailing out the structure tomorrow, so if you don't catch it while we're doing this, it's okay. You can write it down now. That's totally fine. But we're going to be emailing you tomorrow with some interesting content about this. We're going to dive a little deeper. We're going to have a structure for you. And then we want to hear your pitches. So write it down, structure this, memorize it, and then show us. Film it. Put it on Instagram. Put it on Instagram stories. Put it on YouTube. Put it on your Facebook. Put it on Facebook Live. Do something. Show us. Leave us some links on our Facebook page. We would love to see this. We would love to hear what you've got. And if you need help, totally hit up our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/reading transforms. So just reading transforms. Look us up. We're happy to help you. So let's take a look at the structure. This is what we've got. We are going to be bringing on a couple of really awesome authors. We're going to go through this process with us so that you can see it's not as overwhelming as it sounds. And I know it sounds a little bit terrifying. And it can be. But you can do this. You've written an entire novel. Some of you have written series, multiple series. You do not have to be afraid of a 3-sentence bio. You got this. I promise you. I promise you. With me, I did it super simply. We didn't even actually finish mine. Let me give you mine real quick. As a professional photographer, I am a professional fine arts conceptual photographer. Within my imagery, I explore retellings and fantasies and different worlds. I am known for movement in my images. So I have created this reimagined reality. Oh, that's a good one. Actually, I should use that. I did not structure my sentence before I came on here. I just thought I would wing it, and I kind of failed a little bit. But as I was talking, I came up with a brand new one. I am Cam Robinson, Cam Robinson Photography. I am a professional fine arts conceptual photographer. I explore reimagined realities in my imagery, and I am known for movement in my images. That's me. That's exactly what I do. And I restructured that in just a couple of minutes. And maybe I'll work on it more. I can tweak it as I go. Because that statement wouldn't have worked for my style last year. So I'm changing it as I go. So are you ready? Let's do this together. We're going to jump in. We're going to meet up with our authors, and we're going to see what we can do for their brands and their businesses. So one more time, take a look at that structure. Our first author who is hanging out with us tonight to create her elevator pitch is a dear friend of mine, Sherry Ficklin. She has written several books that I absolutely adore, and I'm so excited that she's here tonight. Hi, Sherry.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing tonight?
Doing great. Excited to be here.
I am so excited to have you because, like I said, I have read your books. I love your series, and I'm so excited that we actually get to kind of blend them together tonight for your elevator pitch. So can you actually tell me, I know you've got quite a few books out and quite a few series out. Can you tell me just a little bit about each of them?
Sure. I focus on my main 3, which are my Stolen Empire series, my historical fiction, which is teen YA based on the life of Catherine the Great of Russia. I have my #Hacker series, which is a contemporary mystery. And I have my Lost Imperial series, which is steampunk time travel. So I kind of have the whole spectrum. Everything covered.
Those are my 3 favorites of all of your series. So I love that those are your main focus. And you're right, you do everything. You're all over. So that actually makes for a very good place for us to start because we're pulling in so many different areas and putting into one elevator pitch. So just to remind everybody, what we're going to do is go through the basics. We've just touched on the basics of what her series are. We know that the basic part of her structured sentence for her elevator pitch is going to be that she is an author. And we know that you are a young adult novelist. So within your sentence, you would say that you are a young adult author who writes, and then you would pop in all your genres. So go ahead and say that part for me.
Historical fiction, steampunk, and contemporary mysteries.
And then she would be adding in a little bit more to her sentence. She would add in, within her writing, she explores. So this is where we're going to be talking about the different elements that we can pull in throughout your books. So I know you and I had chatted a little bit about this. What were we thinking of as far as what we can pull in from the different areas that you are writing in? What are those reoccurring themes that we can kind of work into our sentences?
I think the biggest one that really encompasses all of them is that I write about very smart females who are challenged by the world that they're in, but they always rise to the top to make a difference.
Yes, I love that. So how can we word that so it's going to fit within our sentences? I know as we were chatting, we were talking about how you write about empowered women, how they are making changes. So if we are going to pop this into our sentence, I am a young adult author who writes all of your genres. Within my writing, I explore. Talk to me about what you want to put here for your topic.
Oh, this is so hard. I'm not good at this. This is why I need this class. I don't know. It's hard. Probably just women that are growing beyond their own perceived capabilities.
I love that. Oh, that's good. I know we had mentioned when we were chatting that they often face impossible choices, and they are defined by what they end up doing with these impossible choices. And we talked about what they're willing to do. So we could say something along the lines of, within my writing, I explore women who have to learn to be empowered in the face of impossible choices and define their outcome by what they choose to do. Something like that. What do you think?
Yeah, I like that, definitely.
All right, so how can we tweak that to be 100% Sherry? Within my writing, I explore.
I explore. See, I'm not good at this. I'm bad.
Okay. So we're talking about smart women, right? Yeah. So I explore smart women faced with impossible choices and how it defines their future, or how they redefine their future.
Yes. Okay.
So does that work for you? Does that kind of sound like it would work?
Yeah, sorry, I'm writing notes because, again, I'm terrible at this.
No, that's very good. See, that's what we want you guys to do. As you are going through this, as you are planning this sentence structure for yourself, you should be taking notes. So as we talked about in the class, you want to be writing down your basics so that you are an author. We talk about your age group. We talk about your types of books that you are writing. And then we get a little more descriptive with this, like we did with mine as the example as we were teaching this lesson. So as you are going through, take notes. Write this down. This was one of our steps. We're writing down the things that work for us, and then we're structuring our sentences to really be concise and make sense, just like we would structure the write-ups for our books. We want to make sure that everything's very logical and said in the best, shortest possible way. So, Sherry, you've taken notes. Have you kind of arranged your words the way you want them? Do you know how you like it?
I think I've almost got it. I'm still working on the end.
Perfect.
So, okay, hold on.
Show us what you got.
It's so bad. Okay, so I write about strong women who are faced with impossible choices and are empowered by the decisions they make.
I like that, though. I think that's fantastic. So, right now, your sentence structure is, I am a young adult novelist or an author who writes, and then we list all 3 of your genres. Within my writing, I explore what you just said, and now we're just going to add on just a little bit about you. So we want to talk about an accomplishment or something that you are valued for that is not necessarily an award. So what kind of thing can we give your people when they are asking you what you do that gives them a little bit of information about who you are on a more personal level and as an author that isn't bragging? So we've got your age defined, what you write defined, we've got your topics defined. I just want a little bit about you now. So what are you well known for? I have some ideas about what you're well known for, but tell me, what is one thing that you would want a random stranger to know about you as an author?
I'm pretty well known for making people cry profusely. I don't know if that's a good thing.
No, that was definitely one of my things. I feel like that's actually really good, though, because people want to be emotionally invested in books. They really want to get into it. When we see these novels that do really, really well, it's because we get really emotionally involved in it. So if you can say, I love making people cry by the end of my book, they hate me, that's going to be something that I, as a reader, would definitely tune in and think, oh, I've got to see what she does that makes people cry or makes people hate her. What is it that this woman is doing? So I feel like that's actually something you could run with. Is that something you want to tack on?
Yeah, let's say maybe not necessarily even just crying. Some of my stuff's very humorous too. So I'm going to go with like pushing emotional boundaries.
Okay, that's awesome. I like that. And then it encompasses everything else. And the nice thing is, at this point, it leaves the door open for people to ask more questions. Well, what do you mean by pushing those emotional boundaries? Is it funny? Is it sad? Is it what is it? So that's a great opportunity for people to ask more and then ask about what you are writing and what your work is. So let's take a look at this again. We're going to run through this. I'm going to say the sentence structure, and I want you to fill in those blanks. So I will point to you, or I will say you're up, and you just fill those in. So I am a young adult author who writes genres.
Science fiction, historical fiction, steampunk, and mysteries. See, I got to write it down.
Okay. This is why, guys, we're writing this down. And the main point here is to write it down. Now that we have it structured, we want that written down, and then you're going to memorize that. So after Sherry leaves tonight, she's going to be memorizing this thing so that she can just say it. That is our main goal, just to be able to say it when somebody asks. So I am a young adult author who writes, list your 3.
Historical fiction, steampunk, and mysteries.
Within my writing, I explore.
Women who are faced with impossible choices and are empowered by the decisions they make.
And then you're going to list that thing you're known for.
And I love pushing emotional boundaries.
Perfect. So how do you feel? Does you feel like that encompasses what you do in a nutshell?
Yeah, it's good. It's very similar to when you work a lot of conventions, you have sort of a limited opportunity when people come up to your table. And they're like, okay, tell me what your books are about. And you sort of have to have this pitch ready, for your different books. So I think this will help me really refine my pitch. I'm not great at it. Some of my author friends are much better than I am. But it's hard for me because I have so many different genres. It's hard to sort of pull them all in. So this will be good for me.
Yeah, it's definitely good because you have so much to kind of pull it into that condensed version that just very vaguely touches on everything so that people can then ask more questions. And you're absolutely right. When you're at conventions, when you're out in public, when you're doing things and people find out that you're an author, they want to know what it is that you do exactly and who you are within the industry. And so having this couple of sentence elevator pitch is exactly what you need to be able to say to adequately express who you are without stumbling, without tripping over your words. So once you memorize this, you have this in your mind, you're going to be able to just say it, and then it will be done. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to panic when people ask you, and you don't have to change your answer because you know. As you get more involved with this, you can actually tweak this. You can add things. You can remove things. When you have more books, you can judge this so that it makes sense for your current branding, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
So now that we've got yours done, we are going to move on to our next author. But Sherry, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. This was awesome. You feel good?
I feel great. Thank you so much for your help. This was great.
Well, our next guest is Laura Clark. She's an author friend of mine, and I'm so excited to have her here tonight. Laura, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me, Katie.
I'm so glad to have you. It's always a treat. So tell us a little bit about your books.
Well, the Westbrook series, and Distraction in particular, is a coming-of-age teenage... Distraction is a coming-of-age teenage saga about a forbidden romance, layered with swoon-worthy moments, angst, and enough uncertainty to keep the reader guessing.
Yes, and it sounds awesome. Now, I know we're going to be working this into your elevator bio pitch, and we're going to jump right in. So we've got that 3-sentence structure that we are working on, and we chatted just a little bit about this before we jumped on, so we have a basic idea of what we're talking about. And we know with your first sentence that you are a young adult author who writes what type of books, Laura?
Contemporary romance.
Perfect. So we've got your first sentence. We don't have to worry about that. Let's jump into your second sentence. Within my writing, I explore. So let's talk. What kind of topics can we bring in to talk about your books? What do you think throughout your series is kind of one of those topics that would draw people in?
Well, my book isn't just about forbidden romances. It's about family and close friendships. It's about navigating the dynamics between those friendships, and it's about new relationships and how they relate to those friendships and family members. Does that make sense?
That does, and I like that a lot because it kind of encompasses everything that you're doing, but it also sets it apart just a little bit so that it's not the same as everything else, because lots of people can write forbidden romances and things like that, but we each have our own unique spin to it. So how can we structure this, and how do you think we can word this to kind of be along with your branding to make that phrasing make sense? What do we think? Within my writing, I explore... What do you think?
Within my writing, I explore the dynamics of relationships with family and close friends and how new romances play into that dynamic. How does that work?
Oh, that works. I like that. And I really like that we use the word dynamic because that is a fantastic word. I just really like the word dynamic. So we got that we're dealing with the dynamics between family relationships and friend relationships, but then we also get in there that there's a romance involved in this and how that impacts those dynamics and those family relationships and those friend relationships. So that kind of gets everything in there. So are you happy with that second sentence? I think that's pretty good.
I think so, yeah. Thanks.
Okay, so then with our last sentence, we actually have to talk about what you are known for. So what do your fans know you for? What is it that they associate with you whenever they're reading your books? And I know we were chatting a little bit earlier about some things that your fans have said about your writing. So tell me a little bit about what this might be.
Okay, so I feel kind of strange saying I'm known for anything because I don't know what I'm known for, but I can tell you what other people have told me. So could I say maybe I've been told that whatever, can I just say that? Like whatever I've been told by other readers and whatnot instead?
Yeah, absolutely. We can absolutely change that. We've been talking about how we can tweak this. So this 3-sentence form is just a start for you guys. If you feel like something just isn't your type of wording, that is okay. Tweak it to fix you. So if you want to say, I have been told whatever, then that's totally cool. So tell me, what is it that your fans have told you in relation to your books?
I've been told that my characters are what brings the Westbrook series to life.
Oh, I like that. Okay, so that shows right there that you're very character-driven and that you get that emotional connection with your fans through your characters and what they're going through. So I like that very much. So now let's take your 3 sentences and let's put them together. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say it, and then I'm going to point to you and let you fill in the blanks. So here we go. I am a young adult author who writes, your genre?
Contemporary romance.
Within my writing, I explore
the dynamics of relationships with family and close friends and how new romances play into that dynamic.
And then for your last sentence, we are going to be talking about what your fans have told me. So fans have told me.
I've been told that my characters are what brings the Westbrook series to life.
Perfect. So do you like that? Are you comfortable with that? Does that kind of encompass what you are and what you're doing?
I think so for now, yeah.
I think it's really great for where you are right now. And the best part is you then get to layer things in if people ask questions. So if they want to hear more about the series, if they want to hear more about the relationships, if they want to hear about that forbidden romance, if they want to hear about being slightly jealous of your best friend, even though you already have a man, because we all know what your books are about, then that is when you can jump in and tell them more. And you get to tweak this as you go. So as you're growing with your series, you get to tweak it and add things in. So right now, I think this is perfect for you. Happy?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight, Laura. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Katie.
All right, our next guest tonight for developing her elevator pitch bio is Clare Dunmore. She is a writer and a good friend of mine. Claire, how are you tonight?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm so glad you're joining us. It's actually super late. You are several hours ahead of us, so I'm so grateful that you could hang out with us tonight. So tell me, I know you're working on a book right now. You are writing a fabulous story. Tell me just a little bit about it.
It's a romance with an MMA fighter and a university student, and she finds herself pregnant after a one-night stand, so that's pretty big life changes.
That really is some big life changes.
Yeah.
So within your story, we're going to be talking a little bit about your elevator pitch. So we've been talking about this tonight on how we are structuring this, and we are running with that 3-sentence fill-in-the-blank structure tonight.
Yeah.
So real quick, let me just go over that with you again. It's going to be your sentence where I am, and then we talk about our age group, writer, who writes, and we're going to be talking about our genre. Then the second sentence is within my writing, I explore, or I am known for a certain topic. And then you are going to be talking about what you are known for as a writer. So are you ready to fill in for you?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. All right. So our very first sentence is I am, and then we list our age group. So what age group are you?
New adult.
Yes. So I am a new adult author who writes, and we know that you are romance. So I am a new adult author who writes romance novels. The second sentence is within my writing, I explore. So what type of topics do you explore within your writing? I know that you've mentioned that she does get pregnant early on in her life. So is that something we can kind of work in? What kind of things are you thinking of when you want to explain?
I explore situations that new adults and young adults aren't used to, aren't ready for yet. So like having children.
Yeah, I think that's really good. So if we say something along the lines of you explore situations that are not typical for that age group and then growing up before they're ready, is that something we can kind of work with? What do you think for wording?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so situations that an age group is not ready for and growing up before they are meant to. Now, I know you've talked a lot about how you're very character-driven with your writing, so that's something we could kind of layer in after. I think that would be really great.
Yeah.
We need to talk about that last sentence. What is it that you are going to be known for? So as an author, what are your fans going to identify you as?
Realistic character voice, I think.
Yes. Oh, I like that. So your sentence structure then is going to be, I am a new adult author who writes romance novels. Within my writing, I explore situations that are not typical for that age group and having to grow up before they are ready to.
Yeah.
And then your last sentence is going to be that you are known for realistic character voice. Now, guys, we chatted a little bit about this, and I think this is perfection for Claire. Do you like this, Claire?
I love it. Yeah, brilliant.
I think it's really good. I think it fits your writing really well, too. So we get in there that you are a new adult author. We've gotten in there that you are writing romance books, so that's going to get people hooked right away.
Yeah.
Then we're talking about those situations that aren't typical for new adults to be going through. Most people don't get pregnant in their early 20s and then have to deal with that as a result of a one-night stand. And
Yeah.
so for you to go in there and explore that and then say that to your potential new readers, the people that you're meeting for your pitch, that's going to really give them your identity as a writer and set you apart from everybody else. This is very specifically what you're writing right now. This is the
Yeah.
group that it's going to be speaking to. And then with your last sentence, which is wonderful, we're talking about your realistic character voices. And I know that that's something that a lot of people have brought up within your writing, that your characters and their voices are very, very realistic. So that gives everybody a very good idea of who you are as a writer and your identity. Are you happy with everything?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Claire, for being here today. We will keep you posted, guys, on Claire's writing. Thank you so much for hanging out. We appreciate it, Claire.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Our last author for this evening is Courtney Sloan. I'm so excited to have her here tonight. Courtney, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? It's great to see you again.
Oh, I'm doing so good. And yes, I'm so thrilled to see you. I always love when we get to hang out. So tonight we are going over your elevator pitch bio, and we are going to be talking a little bit about your book and how that's going to work into it. So I know you have just recently released your book. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, of Scions and Men. It is about a scion, Rowan Brady, who has sold her very soul and blood to the new American government of Supernatural. And in trying to get herself back to a place of power, she ends up having to take on a supernatural serial killer.
Wow, that's amazing. So let's see how this is going to play into your bio. Now, you know we have that 3-second working on all night. We are going to pop your information into that. So within our structure, our very first sentence is pretty easy for us to fill out for you because we already know all of the content that goes into it. It starts off by saying, I am, and we know that you're a new adult author. So I am a new adult author who writes, and tell me your genre.
Well, if I had to narrow down my genre, I would probably go with horror, dystopian, and urban fantasy.
Ooh, I like that. Okay, so that's going to work. So you are a new adult author who writes dystopian, horror, urban fantasy books, which is very specific and awesome. I feel like that's going to really grab people's attention when you address the question in that way. So we've got our first sentence taken care of. Let's take a look at our second sentence. Within my stories, I explore. So let's talk about some topics that we could pull out of your book that are kind of representative of what you're writing right now. So what do you think we could possibly use here?
I'd say the biggest theme throughout this entire first book is female empowerment.
Oh, I like that. Okay, so within female empowerment, how can we specify that so that it's not the same as every other author? So if we just said female empowerment, a lot of people write about that. What makes it specific to your book? What can we do to tweak that just a little bit?
Well, and that's where the whole urban fantasy comes in. I've taken the traditional patriarchal view of the big bad vampire being able to have the enslavement of humanity, and I'm now switched it where she's getting her power back by flipping that bond back onto the vampires. So you actually have the vampire standing in for the patriarchy. So.
Wow. Okay. So that's good. So within my writing, I explore. How can we put this into a short sentence that kind of encompasses that? What do you think, wording-wise?
Maybe female empowerment through flipping the traditional vampiric bond.
Oh, I like that. And it's good because it's very short and concise. So we've got flipping that bond, and that's really going to get people's attention because people don't ordinarily think of that. So it gets right to the heart of what you're doing with this story and gives them a concept that really gets their attention because it is so unique. So are we happy with our second sentence? I feel like that's a really good fit for you.
I think so. I think it really conveys everything, and I can't believe you have it in that short a sentence.
I know. There's so much going on, and you got to get it down to that little sentence. And we did it really quickly with this because we knew exactly what that main point was, that thing that was going to grab people's attention. And we got it really short, which is awesome and so unexpected, right?
Thank
Short
you.
sentences are hard. Yes. So let's take a look at that third sentence. This is going to be probably one of the hardest ones. It tends to be hard because we're kind of talking about what you are known for. So with this last sentence, we want to know what you as an author are known for, or some kind of accomplishment that is not an award. So let's think about what your fans would think about you. What are you known for? When they think about this one thing, they always think about you. When they think about you, they always think about this one thing. What's something that comes up in a very common manner when people are talking about you when you're writing?
Well, I can say even just this past week, I had someone come up to me and be like, have you actually ever written political speeches? Because your politics really comes to life in your book. So I think in this urban fantasy world, having these modern politics really play current undertones really has come out a lot, even in the reviews that my books have been getting.
So that's perfect then. We can talk about how you have this political tone to your writing. So let's structure this last sentence. We've got the one about what you're known for exploring within your stories. Now you need to tell me you are known for having those political, structure that sentence.
I would say that if I was going to structure that sentence, it would be that I'm known for having political undertones that lace this supernatural world.
Ooh, I like that. And I like that you brought the supernatural world into that too, because it reminds us, back to the beginning, what is the whole main part of this world that you've created? And that is definitely it. So we've got the political undertones, and we're reminding them that we are in this supernatural world. And those are the types of characters and types of world building that we're going to be seeing within your story. So let's go over your sentence three sentences one more time. So I will start saying it. I'm going to point to you, and you get to fill it in, okay?
Okay.
All right, so here we go. I am a new adult author who writes
horror, dystopian, urban fantasy.
Within my writing, I explore
female empowerment by flipping the traditional vampiric bond.
I am known for
political undertones in a supernatural world.
I think that's perfection. Do you like that?
I really do. I think you've been able to draw out so much into such a small time period, which is exactly what stresses out authors on elevator pitches. So thank you so much.
Yes, and the great thing is you can use this all the time. We were talking about earlier how you can use this when you're at conferences, when you're meeting people, when you're seeing family members who haven't seen you in a very long time. You could even use this on things like your Twitter and Instagram bios if it's short enough. So it's really great to have this because you can always answer someone with this statement without ever having to stress about thinking things through because you already know what to say. And then if they want to hear more, if they want to ask questions, they will, and you can layer in other things. So you can talk more about your book, you can talk more about your world building, you can talk more about your accomplishments, which gives you such an open door. And I think with your elevator bio pitch, you have hit everything that someone needs to know right off the bat about you, and it's either going to attract or repel them. We talk a lot a bit about attracting and repelling. They're either going to be drawn in immediately, or they're going to say, oh, that's probably not for me, but good for you. So we definitely have that very structured statement that says, I'm going to love this, or maybe it's perfect.
Oh, well, thank you so much for helping me solve this mystery, because it really is a stress for a lot of us authors.
Yes, and thank you so much for coming on tonight. I truly appreciate you being here. You are always such a wonderful person to have on.
Oh, well, Katie, I love being here. Thank you so much for the invitation and all the help.
So you see how easy that is. That didn't take us very long at all. That was only a couple minutes per person. We got in there. We talked about what is going to work for their brands, for their books. And we figured out a sentence structure for them. It was nearly painless. And you can do it too. Now, you don't have to cram this into just a couple minutes like we did here. It was a little, it was pretty much stress-free, but they were definitely put on the spot. This is not something that we spent a lot of time on beforehand. You get to take a few minutes and figure this out yourself. You can take a couple days to structure this. You can work on this for a week. It's not a problem, as long as you're actively working on this. Don't forget to do this. This is something you need when you're going to conventions, when you're meeting people at industry events, when you are meeting people randomly as you are out in the street, when you're meeting potential new fans, when you're in a library and interacting with books, when you are in a school talking to kids, when you are involved in something that requires you to speak to people in a professional way. This is used all the time, and if you have this memorized, after you have this structured, you know exactly what to say and how to say it to convey your message to them and get the point across in 3 sentences. Now, like I said, you don't have to do it in this exact structure. This is just a fill-in-the-blank structure I created that hits those main points, gets across what you need to get across, and gets you out. You gotta remember, you can do this on your own. You don't have to use these words, and you can tweak these words. It's all up to you. Now, you have to be prepared because people, like we talked about earlier, will probably ask you for more information. Not all of them. Some of them don't care. Some of them are asking to be polite. Some of them were asking to fill a gap of time, and that's okay. You've got this. And all you have to do is be able to add in more information for them. So when they ask you to go further, talk about your awards. Talk about more that you're known for. Talk about your books specifically. You can add in content that gives them value and helps them to understand you and your brand and your books. You just gotta remember, we're not bragging with this. You've got to give them enough information to get them interested and to ask more questions. And the more questions they ask, the more information you can give them. That's totally okay. If they're asking about what you're doing with your work right now and you just want an award, go ahead. Tell them about it when they ask. If they ask for more details, be specific. You just want a big award. You want to tell them what it's for. It's okay at that point to toot your own horn, as long as you're being humble about it. You just have to remember, keep it super basic unless they ask for more. So, now that we've gone through this, now that we're ready for this, let's get to our questions. Do you have questions for me? Pop them in the chat box. Click on that red question mark so that I know that you have a question for me. Our moderators have been watching as we've been going through this, and we are going to get your questions answered right now. So pop over to that chat box, leave me your questions. Remember, we've got a minute or, well, not a minute, but a couple second lag. So I will be seeing things a little slowly here because you're seeing this video just a little bit slower than I am actually speaking it. So we are taking a look at what we've got now. Let's see what we have for questions. Okay, so let's hit just one. We are definitely running a little bit late. Because we had a couple of extra guest stars on today, and it took us a few extra minutes. So real quick, let me just grab the best ones the moderators have sent us. Do you have any tips for when people that you give your pitch to ask, have I heard of you, or have you written anything that I would have heard of? So at this point, I would tell you this is probably the place where you actually want to go forward with what you're thinking about and let them know the things that you are known for. So I would very politely say, it's possible that you might have heard of me. You can go into depth about your story, a little bit more about what you have written, the world that you've created, the characters you've created, and awards if you've been published on an important blog or in a magazine, if people before. If someone famous has recommended your book or someone they might have heard of has given you an author quote about your book, this is the time to pull it out. So you can let them know that, yes, it's possible you've heard of me. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. Because let's be honest, there are some people who are super well-known sellers that I probably don't know. I don't know their names, I don't know their books, but everybody else does. So it's possible that they might have heard of you. It's possible that they might not have heard of you. It's possible that you could be the most famous author in all of history and they still wouldn't know who you are. So give them the opportunity to find out a little bit more about you to see if they do in fact know you. You always want to be very stress over this, so make sure you're planning your words carefully and plan in advance like we've been talking about. We know that we've got those follow-up questions that people very well might ask, and you need to be prepared for them. So sit down if you need to. Write out a list and come up with things that they might ask you and have prepared responses. You want to make sure that you're giving them enough information but you're also sounding very professional and very polite about it. So take the time to not only sit down and go through your pitch, but to come up with these questions that they are going to on. Now, if you have more questions, I am so happy to answer those. Jump into our community and ask those over the next couple of days. I will be happy to answer them. You can jump into community.readingtransforms.com, and that will kick you over to our Facebook group. You know that at RTTV, we are super, super supportive of you guys. We want you to be in the community. We also want you to be in our weekly notes. So our show notes will be delivered to you usually the day after the episode. Because we're in premiere week, we are putting those all out at the end of the week so that we don't bombard you every single day with crazy emails with lots of notes. So everything will be together at the end of the week, at the end of premiere week, so that you have it all in one collected place. And until then, be in the community, because we are doing challenges. We are doing tech updates. We are talking all about things that make a difference to you on a daily basis. And we want you in the community for that. So thank you so much for joining me tonight, guys. I am so thrilled that you could be here, each and every one of you. This has been awesome. And before you go, there are just a couple of things I want to remind you of. But let me sign off real quick. I'm KM Robinson of KM Robinson Photography and Reading Transforms, and I am so thrilled that you have been here tonight. Here are just a couple of things to remember. You guys have a great night. I will see you again tomorrow for an incredible lesson on creating deskscape images, which is one of my favorite things to teach because it takes your book and puts it right into the forefront of your fans' minds, makes them want to have your book right in front of them at that very so simple to create. So I will see you back here tomorrow night. Have a good night, guys.
Hey authors, I know that marketing your book can be so confusing, especially when you don't have a big budget to work with, but I want you to know that there are ways that you can market your book without costing you a cent. I have come up with a list of 20 totally cost-free marketing ideas that you can implement into your marketing strategy and see the same great results that my own authors have seen when they implemented it into their marketing plan. You can get your very own totally free copy of how to market your book creatively and effectively, even when you're flat broke, if you jump on to www.readingtransforms.com. Up near the top, you're going to see a spot where you can download it completely for free. It is my gift to you. I hope that you take this PDF and you use it in your marketing strategy and see incredible results, and I can't wait to see what you do with it. I'm KM Robinson of KM Robinson Photography and Reading Transforms. Stay inspired. Do you have a new book releasing soon? Do you want to create a unique experience for your fans on your book release day? Do you want to interact with your fans, celebrate your book, and be the talk of the industry? Book launch live events bring all this and more right into your grasp. Rita Award winner and New York Times bestselling author Pin Tip Dunn called it the highlight of my release day. Dying to find out if this is for you? Visit booklaunchlive.readingtransforms.com for more info and see if this is the perfect thing for your release day. Do you ever feel like you're alone in the book world? When the conferences die down and you're sitting in front of your computer alone writing your next manuscript, things can seem very isolated, but they don't have to be. Do you ever feel like social media changes are getting the better of you? Do you feel like you need support that you just don't have? You don't have to be on your own trying to solve the algorithms. Join the Reading Transforms community for a group of authors and book world professionals going through the same things as you. Connect and support one another. Hear from industry leaders on technology changes, and get the latest updates on RTTV, the weekly live broadcast that teaches you to market your books and brand yourself more efficiently and creatively. Get the community and support that you've been longing for, and surround yourself with authors just like you. We'll see you there.